Hi. Sometimes we're really hard on ourselves when we are trying to make changes. We may use terms like, oh, I just need to not be so lazy, or, I just need more willpower. But change is difficult, and oftentimes when we are making change, we discount some of the barriers or the difficulties to making that change. So it doesn't do any good for us to beat ourselves up, to do those negative consequences, but to really understand what are the barriers to change, and so that we can look at those barriers and to knock down those barriers and look at ways of making it easier for the change. One tool that I look at is a grid that looks similar to this, looking at short-term positives, long-term positives, short-term negatives, and long-term negatives. Now, oftentimes, let's take smoking for example. If we look at the short-term positives of smoking, oftentimes it's calming us down. It is social. It is feeding an addiction. And so we have quite a few long or short-term positives. Right then and there, it's meeting a need. If we look at the long-term positives, there really isn't any, or very few. If we look at the short-term negatives, having that cigarette probably is not going to do that much right then. Just one cigarette's not going to hurt. But if we look at the long-term negatives of smoking, there is a lot of issues, from health issues to cost over time. Okay? We can fill this in with most things that we're struggling with. For example, if we're trying to eat more healthy, I look at that donut and it tastes good, it's fun, it gives me a sugar high. One donut's not going to kill me, so that short-term negative isn't really there. Long-term positive of eating donuts over time, there really isn't any, except I enjoyed those short-term sugar highs. However, the long-term negatives of that behavior is that, I gain weight. I have unhealthy outcomes with my labs when I go to the doctor. So one of the things to keep in mind is the reason we continue to do our behaviors is there's a lot of motivation for our body and for our emotions to continue to engage. And it's really the long-term negatives that we're trying to avoid. So when we're trying to make some of those changes, it's really important to keep our eye on the goal. That every donut does matter. Every cigarette we put down does matter. And for us to look for ways that we can increase those short-term and long-term, the other boxes, that we can look at ways that we can get a quick reward for not smoking, that we can get that quick reward for not eating that donut. However, we can do that in a healthy way. Thank you.